everyone, welcome back to the Book Den reading series. This is Dan Ramonal, and if you tuned in to my first episode, you know what I do here. But if it's your first time, this podcast is all about reading. I read whatever catches my fancy, what's interesting, what matters, and of course, the usual suspects, my favorites. So, if you enjoy listening to stories, then you're in the right place. Let me read for you. For episode 2, I will still be reading from my latest book. The book has 14 stories talking about life lessons we can draw from trees. Today, it's all about why people, things, and places will never be the same as how we knew them. Revisiting Places from Let Me Learn from a Tree by Danielle Ceeline Ramonal. There is a huge santol tree at the back of my grandparents' house. When I was young, I believed that it was the doorway to another world where myth, power, and the impossible collided. It was a world introduced by the elders to enchant, but mostly to scare, so young ones comply whenever needed. The scare tactic is quite useful during siesta time or at night when children are hardest to convince to sleep. It was not scary for me though, because that tree was magical. After a few years, when the land was divided in among my father and his siblings, that santol tree became part of our partition. My father started the construction of a small house for us a few meters away, so that we have a place to go home to every time we went there for a visit. I remembered how that magical feeling evolved. I was older, and because the surroundings have been cleared, I saw the tree more with practicality, one that provides shade and keeps possible floodings at bay. I once asked my father if he could build a tree house there, and he said no, because of the capres who he said lived there. He loved that tree and still believed in those mythical creatures. But I have changed. I did not see it the same way that I used to when I was little. When he passed away, I went back to the tree and I looked at it with sadness. My attempts at recreating the happy past with that tree and its surroundings have only resulted in immense longing. It was not magical anymore, nor was it practical. I wanted to cut it down because it reminded me so much of my father. Not to mention that its leaves required me to sweep the outdoors every day, which was too much for me then. I remember loathing being outside after my father's death. Years after, I revisited that tree and introduced it to my fiancé. It greeted us with its falling yellow and brown leaves. I placed my hand on its huge trunk, smiled, and thanked it for the last time. It was bittersweet. What I learned from all the countless visits I made to that tree was that no matter the familiarity, the experiences and emotions are never the same. Maybe we go back to certain places because we have left a piece of ourselves there. Maybe we go back because we have the longing to reclaim past glories. Maybe we go back because we know that change has rolled in dynamic surges and we are still unwilling to roll with it. Maybe we go back for the simple reason of missing the place. Maybe we go back to finally say goodbye. Maybe. Whether our reasons fall under any of the maybes, it is important to acknowledge that revisiting the same places never induces the kind of results as before. It will not be the same, and there are many reasons why. 1. Because we are not who we were 4 years or 4 months ago. On the first visit, we might have discovered that the place offered us the new that we were searching for. It was so unlike what we were used to that we just fell in love with it immediately. Back then, we would have said, "This is what I need. This is the strangeness that I was hoping for. This is a good strange." So we stayed. We adored the place, left for a few months, came back, left again, and then came back for the nth time. It was a love-hate relationship. but there was always an invincible pull every time we were back. It was different. It was different because we brought a different perspective, a different language, a different cultural influence, and a different experience with one, two, or three people. We are older, wiser, in a different sense, and with a whole new collection of beliefs and uncertainties. Whatever we brought would influence the way we look and experience the place again. Two, because the place changes. Just as we change, the place that took our breath away also changes. Most of the time, it paves the way for progress. Airports are expanded, roads are widened, buildings are constructed, towers are taller, new murals sprout like weeds, prices go higher, and old special nooks are replaced. The culture we knew might give way to an entirely new look. Only its name remains the same. In some places, that changes as well. Everything else has a different face. Maybe there is still the semblance of the place that was first introduced to us, but that is all, a semblance. However, if we are patient, or if we can stay a bit longer, there is a chance to witness how the colors change again. Something that we may have missed before that would give us the closure we need. 3. Because we meet and say goodbye to different people. During the first time, we may have been with friends or family. Together, we created memories with them. But this may not be the case on our next visits. Maybe we would travel alone on the next one and befriend strangers who share a different point of view about many things under the sun. These strangers are probably selling an entirely new package of life that alters how we perceive the place. We learn to bake in a mud oven, kiss differently, talk distinctly, dress in a new way, understand other political views, and appreciate foreign books and movies. We learn to slow down, laugh so hard that everyone around us laughs along. Choose which ideas we want to keep and walk away from situations that we prefer not to end up in. This is when we discover that we have grown a different set of wings so we can fly with grace and not with the grief of a child. The people we surround ourselves with change us. 4. Because age will tell us otherwise. We age in 1,000 different ways. We have our physique as proof of how our preferences change as the years pass. Wrinkles start appearing, hair strands turn gray, bones become brittle, and allergies start developing. Some lose weight, some gain weight. Getting sick becomes more frequent, and pill concoctions in fancy portable containers become the it thing. It is a struggle, and we realize that what we liked before does not offer the same satisfaction. We might not like partying all night anymore. Walking around is limited to a few hours or might require an occasional break now and then. Trying thrill-generating activities becomes unappealing or may not be child or family friendly. We opt for different choices not only because of the limitations of our physique, but also because our choices evolved with the changes in our bodies. Maybe we disagree, maybe we have different explanations, but it is important to look at a place with a new set of eyes every time. In this way, our nostalgia, boundaries, or change of perspective does not result in an aversion. Just as we have to appreciate a person for who he or she is now, we also need to do so for all the places that we revisit. The end. This is Dan Ramonal reading to you from the Book Den. Thank you again for listening and see you tomorrow.